Welcome back to the Ascension series. We've got quite a few new followers on here. So, quick introduction. My name is Diamond No. I started a mentoring company several years ago. I've been teaching for like 20 years. I'm a generational psychic. That means it's in the lineage of all of my family, all of the women, and my two children included. So, today, finally, my move is done. I'm not sure what the sound is like in this room. I haven't done soundproofing yet, so I hope this is okay. The move to the retreat center is over finally, and I'm back online, which is fantastic. Super excited to be back. I have a few things to still finish up, but we're getting there. So I want to talk a little bit about sort of what I've been going through, because I know a lot of us are going through it as well. And I want to talk about meditation as well as psychic phenomenons. This thing that happens, this magic, huge thing that happens when you are ascending, when you sort of tip into the scale of fifth dimensional consciousness. If you want more information on the dimensional consciousness, it goes from 3 to 12. It is a state of being, it's a state of perception, it's a state of knowing. And all of that information is in our program, Fully Awaken and Ascend, which is on promo still for September. So with that, you get a free 30-minute divine alignment session. So you can check out those links on diamondno.com. Let's talk about meditation and sort of what's been going on in my world and what we're moving through. So we do have really big energy. I'll be popping on later this week to do an energy forecast for us. And if you really want that deep dive, we do have the monthly forecast and we have a membership that's a day by day, play by play breakdown on what to do with this energy. And again, that's all on the website. So what we're dealing with right now is a very heightened state of our ascension process. And we're all feeling it. The ascension symptoms are wild. I literally just finished a meditation before I jumped on here because I was like, oh, what do I bring forward? Like, what do we talk about? And I love all the suggestions and questions and comments. So keep those coming and I will keep addressing those. But here's sort of what I've been going through. So I just finished my meditation. It was super intense. And I want to share some of the stories that I've been through so that you don't feel alone with your journey of what's happening. So I shared in one of my previous videos, as I move through my ascension process, my body will get physical attunements. So you will get energetic attunements. Your vibration, 12 universal laws, the law of vibration. Every frequency has a vibration. It's either a one of two categories. It's a fear survival based vibration, or it's a thriving vibration, which is like love, joy, all of those things. So your electromagnetic field vibrates, law of vibration, law of attraction is responding to that. We'll go through phases of attunements, which I just had in my meditation right now. So it was wild. We have dragon code activation happening this week. So those of you that are connected into the dragon realm. So there's a fairy realm. Yep. There's a dragon realm. There's an angelic realm. There's an archangel realm. There's galactic realms. There's our human realm. There's the Gaia realm, the trees and the plant life and the insects and all of those things. And the dragon code activation is happening right now. So when I go outside on my new deck in the retreat property, there's a whole beautiful forest behind there. And I can feel dragon energy in that forest, just sort of like watching, nurturing. It's very safe, it's very nurturing, it's very loving. So in my meditation today, I'm lying there and this big, huge light just like starts moving through my body. And then I have what's called spiritual off-gassing. So I can actually smell with all of my senses. I can feel, see, know, hear, taste, smell. So I can actually smell like lower vibration leaving my body, which is that little bit of fear that I struggle with in sustainability. My life is so fucking perfect. I'm not saying that to brag, but it freaks me out sometimes because I'm like, oh my God, like what if this gets like, what if it's not sustainable? Oh, and my ego will go into fear a little bit. So I could feel that leaving my body. And then there's a lot of intense energy moving through my body. So there was laying of hands on my ankles that gently moved up my legs and then over my chakra system. Then my heart chakra, I should have brought my tank top down. I was meditating in just a tank top. And my heart chakra like was so expansive. So there's your main heart chakra, sacred heart chakra, which is connected into the crystalline grid. Then there's a galactic heart chakra that's connected into the diamond code activation. I'll get into that another day. That takes you to like seventh, eighth dimensional consciousness. Anyway, my sacred heart chakra was like pulsating to the point where my t-shirt, my tank top was like rippling like waves on me, and I actually burnt holes in it. It was so intense. Like this whole area was just like boom. And then there's like these little perforated holes that burned in it. I've had that happen once before, back in like 2007, I think. Um, so that was super intense. And then my hands will start to like twitch and move, and sometimes they'll write. And I know some of you are like, "Oh my God, you're possessed." It's not. It's energy moving through you. So that was beautiful. And then, due to that, the ascension symptoms that I'm experiencing right now is some intense discomfort in my back. Um, really intense, to the point where I'm not fully mobile at this moment. So when it comes to our ascension symptoms, they can be things right now, like my guts are vibrating. Like when I woke up this morning, they're like my intestines were like vibrating. We can have a little bit of disharmony with your digestive system right now. Upper back discomfort is a predominant one. If you're getting that, that means that you're really connected into the dragon realm. And many of us, if you haven't already, are getting like your energetic etheric wings. So those of you that are really connected into that dragon space are going to experience actually getting etheric wings. That's why the logo is wings. I've had my wings since 2000 and I think 10 is when they really started. And they're an energetic tool that you can use. So I can actually like take my wings out, like spread them out and sort of like pulse them to push energy into the world, like healing, loving, powerful energy into the world. It also ends up clearing like a path that I'm walking as well. So if I do it in a big crowd, it's like people just sort of move, which comes in super handy at concerts, just saying. um, so we're going through this integration energy right now. So in your meditative state, I've shared this before, you're going to have times where maybe you're napitating, where you don't think anything's happening and you're like, oh, okay. Ask yourself before you go in. I usually meditate for about an hour to an hour and a half a day. So when I go into it, I'm just like, okay, you've got 45 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, boom, back right on that timeline. So you can do that and set the timing for it. um, where else do we go with this? So the activations are happening right now. So you may have an application. You may be experiencing just an attunement. When we're going through those phases of napitating, right? Our body, our physical body is trying to or allowing itself to become the new vibration. So all of your energy vibration stems in your subconscious, in your belief structure. What you believe is always going to be your outcome. Not what you think, not what you force your thought to be, but what you believe subconsciously. That's why this whole company, all my mentors are divine alignment mentors. That's the program that helps heal those belief structures to allow you to move into a higher vibrational state, to align with your desired life. So that's how the process sort of works. So when you're having a napitation or if you're feeling exhaustion, experiencing that, I had a moment this morning. I got up really early. Love this space. It's so good. I'll give you a tour sometime. Um, and I was sitting outside, and all of a sudden, it was just this wave of what would be described as sheer exhaustion. I was like, oh, I've got to go meditate. Like, whew. So that'll sort of happen. If I'm not paying attention, my body will be forced into meditating. Like, I'll just get this wave of like, I need to sleep. I need to lie down. And then what happens is the energy coming for you, moving through you, with you, for you, is allowing the vibration in your physical body, the meat body, to shift and align with the new vibration that's coming in for you. So it's very common, it's very normal, it's really exciting if you're going through a phase where your meditations are having nothing happen. It's a good thing. It's your body being attuned to align with a higher vibration. The higher the vibration, the deeper the universal wisdom and the downloads or the uploads that come from your subconscious are. They're more predominant. And then that's what lets you move and navigate into divine purpose or just a higher level of consciousness. So it's really awesome, but it's intense right now. The symptoms are super intense right now. So we've got upper back pain if you're really connected into that dragon energy. That can look like radiating into the shoulders, into the neck, into the jaw, teeth vibration. My bottom teeth always vibrate when I'm about to get a huge download, or when the energy is really good. You may have a little bit of ear shifting, eye twitching, feeling like your hair is moving or that there's like a little insect or something in there. So those are those upper dragon energies that are happening right now. Gaia is going through a massive shift, as we know. It's pretty evident right now. So, what we're feeling with her shift, if you're really connected into Gaia, you're going to be feeling that digestive upheaval that looks like a little bit of nauseated energy, digestive upset, going to the bathroom a little bit more. If you have unhealed anger in your subconscious, you're going to be experiencing um, like bladder infections, kidney infections, yeast infections if you're female, um, sore, blue ball kind of feeling, maybe even a heightened state in your sexual drive. This is the lower, like, shake up energy that we're physically experiencing. And then weird skin things, like if you have a belief that anything is ugly, or that your past was ugly, or that people, humanity are ugly, then you're going to get skin eruptions, which can look like cold sores. It can look like cysts, acne, ingrown hairs, things like that. So, really common for those symptoms right now. What I really want you to do with that is not focus on the disharmony, because if you do, you're going to be exaggerating it. Instead, I want you to focus on, holy fuck, I'm ascending. Like, this is amazing. These are the symptoms that are like taking me to the next level. So there's that. Now, there's 12 universal laws. So I'm going to share what I'm going through, and then I'm going to share the psychic phenomenon piece. So the last little while, like, I've been teaching the universal laws for quite some time. It's in our program, Fully Awake and Ascend, like what to do with it, how it works in your favor. And it seems as though, like, because it never stops, energy never stops. And this might seem so fucking basic to some of you, but it just hit me so differently. And I often talk about the difference between knowledge and knowing. Knowledge is when you can conceive it within your mind, when you're like, okay, I get it. I know what to do with that. Okay, I understand. But knowing is when you are experiencing it moving through you. The same way, if someone got kicked in the balls, I don't have balls. I can witness it and understand it. I have the knowledge, but I don't actually have the knowing, because I don't got them. So it's the same thing with the spiritual wisdom that's coming through. There's a knowing. So a couple weeks ago, it's so fascinating, and it's going to be a story time. Okay, here we go. The universal law of correspondence. So that law means that everything is a reflection of your state of being. So I'm going to want to talk about that and the law of rhythm. So everything is a state, everything is a reflection of where you're at. So if there's a lot of lack or disharmony or financial struggle, or lack of love or disharmony in the body, that's a reflection of something that you subconsciously believe, which could be that you're not worthy of receiving. It could be it's not safe for me to receive. It could be a fear of, well, if I get it, it's going to be taken away. It could be anything related to that childhood experience that you've had, what you were witness to. And then on the other side of that is when you see universal sign. Okay, so everybody talks about like 1111, 222, 333. That is a reflection of you being in alignment. So I did a whole series on TikTok. I don't know where, like probably way down on my page, but I also did a video in the Ascension series on what these numbers actually mean, like what ones, twos, threes, fours, five, six, seven, eight, nine. So that's there for you. You can kind of scroll and find that. But take it as I'm in alignment with my highest vibration that's available for me right now. We never go from over here in total survival mode, fear-based, whatever, to like, boop, everything's great. Now I'm awake. Oh, I'm woke as fuck. Yay. It doesn't happen like that. It is a never-ending evolutionary process. Same thing with your psychic gifts. We all have the potential to be highly, highly intuitive and connected, and to know, to allow universal wisdom to move through us, to have these psychic phenomenons that I'm going to explain in a minute. We all have that potential, every single one of us. So the body will move through an evolutionary process where you will receive exactly what you're ready for, and it will just continue to expand and grow and evolve. And it's limitless how far it will go. So if you're getting a lot of like signs, then you're in alignment. You can choose a sign as well. Back in the early 90s, I chose Volkswagen Beetles as my knowing that I'm fucking aligned, like big shit is coming. And the more vintage it is, more specifically, navy blue convertible one, that's like, hold on, girl, because it's happening. To choose a sign. My other sign is an excessive amount of sirens, meaning fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, like an excessive amount, not just like one, but an excessive amount. Whether that's a video of it, a picture of it, the sound of it, or the actual experience of it going by me. And that's my not aligned. Like, what's going on with you? Have a look. So you can choose your signs. Just it's just intention. Just choose it, expect it. And then as you navigate, so like I said, I did that in the 90s, 2023, and I still lean into that. So when that's reflected to me through the law of correspondence, I'm like, oh, cool. You're doing it. The universe is not doing it for you. Your guides are not doing it for you. Your angels are not doing it for you. It doesn't work like that. It works with your vibration, with all the 12 universal laws. The law of attraction is responding to you. So you are in full control, and that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. You're in full control of your reality. Everything from, and I don't mean to sound insensitive with this, my loves, but from my experience, the disharmony, I've experienced cancer twice. I've experienced an autoimmune disorder that almost took my life. I've been given the death notice a couple of times. I've actually died and been resuscitated 3 times. It's been wild. Those are stories for another day. But that was all a reflection of the unhealed belief structures from all of the abuse and trauma I experienced as a child and a teenager in my early 20s. It was awesome. With that, I'll just add in everything that you endure when it comes to divine purpose. Some of you call it soul purpose, but divine purpose. Everything you experience and endure, it's like going to school. Okay. I'm on the other side. I am living my highest timeline. And I promise you, being on the other side, looking back in hindsight, it's not that everything happens for a reason. It's not that, oh, well, it made me strong. It's not that, well, I had to in order to be able to do this. It was almost a study module of, I can resonate with you. I understand. I've endured, I've experienced it. I've experienced absolute disharmony. I've experienced being homeless and living in my car. I've experienced the most gnarly, horrific divorce and bad battle for the custody of my children. I've experienced rape. I've experienced all of these things. One part, my vibration aligned with all of that on a subconscious level because in my childhood, I was sexually abused. I had narcissistic caregivers. I had an alcoholic caregiver. I had a very mentally unstable caregiver, a tremendous amount of abuse from my caregivers and the people around me. And then I had to be a Jehovah's Witness for a little while. Not knocking it, you do you, but holy shit, that was not easy to walk away from. I've had massive abandonment. So as I grew, because of those beliefs, because of my lack of worth, because of the unhealed little girl within me, I started to align with the same vibration in different scenarios. And once I understood it, once I understood the vibration, once I understood the belief that was hiding, that was limiting me, my entire reality shifted. And I want that for you. So that's why this is such a delicate, triggering conversation. And my intention is to not trigger you nor to blame at all. Shit happens. There is bad people in the world. There is low vibration in the world. And I don't want any of that for you. But I promise you, if you understand your vibration and those limiting beliefs, you can course correct and walk your highest timeline. I'm some chick who came from dirt. I came from nothing. I came from extensive abuse. Like, I joke around with my partner, like, I don't know how I didn't end up dead in a ditch. Like, or a drug addict or um, whatever. I was so small. I was so limited. I was so terrified of life. Suicide attempts. I don't think I'm supposed to say that on here. All those things. And now I understand, and I'm walking my highest timeline. It's like a dream. It doesn't even feel real. It's so beautiful. You can achieve that. I know the way. So I want you to continue to discover what's surfacing. I want you to look at how your body is offering you signs. Is your body offering you evidence of hidden anger or being small? There's a great book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. In the back of that book, there's like this little chart of like physical ailments where it shows you the belief structure sort of attached to it and a new mantra to replace it with. So it's a really powerful tool. I love that tool. I really should have shares in that company because I talk about that book so much. Anyways, so the law of correspondence is a reflection of your beliefs, a reflection of what's going on within you that you're aligning with. So everything is a reflection of a belief that's going on, the low vibration and high vibration. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be rushed. Awareness will always provide change. One of the universal laws of inspired action will float through you if you allow it, which will give you the next stepping stone, the next stepping stone, the next stepping stone. Just step by step, it'll show you the direction towards your highest timeline and how to heal that. So I've been experiencing the craziest things, like looking back in hindsight. So the retreat center, the home that I'm in right now, this I saw back in the early 2000s perfectly. So I saw this exact center, this exact home, this exact space. And then I saw a pond, I saw a big willow tree and a big pool. And so I'd see this vision, and then there's like this like little stone labyrinth in the back of the property, and then the forest with the dragon energy in it. And me going and enjoying that dragon energy. So I've had the same vision forever. And the vision would come full circle. And then all of a sudden, the willow tree would fade, the pool would fade, and the pond would kind of be closed in. And I was like, that's weird. So I've been seeing this since the early 2000s. And when I arrived here, there's no pool yet. The willow tree's not there yet. And the pond is grown in. So I was seeing the whole vision of what would be, including the yurts that'll be here for the retreat. Um, and then it was like, this is what it'll look like when you land. And I never understood what it was until I got here. And I was like, oh my God, like driving down the road, I knew. So that's really awesome. And it's in hindsight that we always understand the visions that we've been getting. So there's that piece. So Law of Correspondence has been, as I walked into this house, I was like, holy shit, that's the same house that I had when I lived on Stony, like the same counter that I had when I lived in Stony Lake, the same kitchen. And then my office, I was like, oh, frig, man, that's the office that I had when I lived in Kingston, Ontario. And the living room layout, I was like, holy shit, that's the same as the retreat center that I had in Costa Rica. And it's like, I was getting all these signs all along. The Law of Correspondence was reflecting to me bits and pieces of the vision that was coming through. I was aligning with bits and pieces of my vision. And the reason I hadn't fully arrived, because there's no such thing as divine timing. There isn't at all. Like, that's going to burst some bubbles. There is such thing as alignment, full alignment. And when your vibration matches, that is your experience. This retreat center, so I've been saying for only about 3 months, I really would like to go to the country. Like, I feel it. I feel a property calling me. So about 3 months, I've been saying, oh, I'm like ready to move. Like, I'm ready to go into the country. Like, I very much want to be out of the city. Which was a big decision because my fiance lived immediately across the street from me. Like, we could see into each other's windows. So to move away from him was, I was like, okay, I'm going to kind of like allow this to happen. And within 1 week, the house arrived. I connected with it. Papers were signed. Movers were booked. and I landed in the house in 1 week. That's how fast your life can change when you align with it. So it's so important to go into those belief structures and heal them, but also to pay attention to the law of correspondence. What's being shown to you? So when I was going through this, like right before the house arrived, actually, I was like, I had this big download where it was like, if we put our focus, because we know that universal flow doesn't understand choice, it understands focus. Meaning, if I was looking at all the inconveniences of living in the city, then I was going to experience more of that. And if I was looking at all of the indicators and reflection that this was coming, then I can speed up, shorten the curve, shorten the timeline for my highest outcome. So when you are in alignment, the highest path with the path of least resistance, or the highest outcome with the path of least resistance, is the journey. And you just have to choose to stay in alignment with that. And it does take mental power. Okay. So with the law of correspondence, I was like, if I just continuously look for evidence, every single sign, every single reflection of my high vibration, every single green light, every single short line of the grocery store, because I hate going to the grocery store, every snuggle that my puppy offers me, every number repetition, every Volkswagen Beetle, every love letter that I get, every positive comment that I get, every connection that I get, then I am choosing to stay fully aligned with my highest path. And so this download came in, and I was standing in my yard in the city, and there's all this noise, and I'm barefoot on the grass, and the dog's, taking a dump and figuring his life out, pop on a squat, and I'm standing there barefoot, and this energy is surging through my body, like coming up my feet, up my legs, up my core. My hands were facing forward, but like down. My heart was like, boom, boom. I was like, oh my God. Like it was just pulsing, and I could feel this like activation, or it felt very dragon-like, very beautiful, very powerful, but so loving. And my passion to change a million lives, which we're getting so close to that. So I'm just like pulsating and vibrating. And it was like, use your ego, train your ego. We know this, to only acknowledge what serves your highest path. And I was like, oh my God. And literally, I was like, no, every time that my ego wanted to go somewhere else, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is the direction we're moving into. Whether we are afraid or not, we're going to give it a go. We're going to do it. And I just kept moving into that direction. And then when cringy memories would come up, I'd be like, okay, what's really going on? What wants to be healed? What wants to be addressed? Change that vibration back into alignment, back into alignment. I would not allow myself to reside in fear whatsoever. I would not allow myself to experience the thoughts of, what if this doesn't happen? When does it happen? How does it happen? I was just like, I'm aligned. And so that was like the day before the house showed up. So that's how fast that happens, right? So that's that piece, the law of correspondence. I want you to look for your signs. The law of inspired action is the law that will tell you your next stepping stone, and you just have to create space for that. It will happen when you are present. So set yourself up for success. Every evening when I'm done work, I turn on music, usually pour myself a bevy, turn on music. I have a huge whiteboard beside me. I pace, I let the vibration take over my body. I celebrate my client's success, my student's success, my mentor's success. And I just allow that vibration to just like totally take over. And then I go to my whiteboard and I just start writing and writing. And inspired action moves through me. And I put it down. Inspired action will move through you as fast as a dream will. It will come and go in a heartbeat. So put it in like the same spot. Either have a journal that's just for inspired action, or I have a giant, giant ass whiteboard. And I will write all over it. And then I will take a picture of it and I will put it into a folder on my phone. So I always have it. And then I also have a note section on my phone in case it like hits when I'm like taking a dump or something. I don't know, but that's a pretty good time for things to come through. So I do that. Okay. So let's talk about psychic phenomenons. As you go through this journey, you're going to go through your interpretation phases. Happens. And then your meditations will start to elevate, where you will experience your higher self. You will experience your galactic energy. You will experience the dragon realm. You'll experience the archangels, whatever, all of the things, not all at once usually. So my psychic phenomenon started, and you will have a massive one that is undeniable that will change your entire life. You'll have one massive one, like massive. So I'm going to tell that story in a second here. But leading into that, I would have, so I would be in my meditations or my healing sessions or in my present moments, usually in my meditations. So it started with the first time that I burned holes in my shirt with my heart activation. That was my sacred heart activation. Then it started with a whole galactic tribe standing at the foot of my bed, and then standing at the foot of my bed and up the sides of my bed that I could see them. Like I can see through my eyelids. I guess it's my third eye. I don't know. But I can see them with my eyes closed. And then healing from them. And then my body would start to, as that progressed, my body would start to vibrate, like literally tremble. And I know that was releasing trauma out of my body. And it would, like, my crown chakra literally felt like my head was being like pulled open like a funnel, and like information was coming through, visions were coming through. My body then, the next level up from that, was trembling, and my body went into a full Pilates V on the table. So I was having an energy healing with a very, very, very dear sister, who I fully trusted. And she had to back off because she could feel the energy around me. And she took a picture of it, and you could see all of the light bodies standing. I don't know what happened to that picture, but anyways, that's years and years ago, like early 2000s. So my body went up into a full V, like feet up, head up, my tailbone on the table, trembling. Probably because my core wasn't strong enough, but I don't know. Trembling, energy moving through me. And then my body sort of flattened down and my tailbone lifted off the table. So I was levitating a couple of inches and my body just like trembling. And then it sort of settled down. And then it was just this surge of energy that moved through me that would like make me like get air. So it started with that. That's not going to be everybody's experience. We're all going to experience it very differently. I have a very large purpose on this planet. I'm very aware of my mission. And I was born knowing that, like in my mom's womb, having conversations with my strongest guide, Max, about prepping me for coming through and experiencing what I was going to experience, because it was not easy. So I've been aware of my mission my whole life. Not everybody has that honor, or that luxury, maybe. I'm not sure what words to use there, but you will know. And you have this ache, you feel it, like you're like, "Oh, I'm meant for something," and it aches for you. And the closer you are to aligning with it, the more it aches. So if you really feel that ache, reach out to me, send me an email. I'd love to connect with you. The next Divine Mentor group. So I support people, I educate, train, launch people into divine purpose. And the next group starting in January. So I'm starting to formulate a list. It's about half full right now. So anyways, back to psychic phenomenons. The next thing that happened, the biggest thing that happened. So it's after all of that process, I would go into my meditations and there would just be this giant floating eyeball, like, which is like being looked at that deep, like looking deep into the pupil of this eyeball. It was huge. It was bigger than my moon, just above me, like just like staring at me. And it took me a little while to navigate that with not holding on to fear, like that knee jerk, intuitive, like, huh, I don't like that. And you will have experiences that are training you, that are preparing you to experience these bigger psychic phenomenons without having an ego reaction. So we're all a little bit different. I tend to be a little extra. So this big ass eyeball floating above me. And that happened for a long time, until it was just, I didn't label it anymore. So some of you might see faces, you might see animals, you might see scenery. And that's just your ego learning to shut up, basically, and allow the experience to unfold. Then the biggest psychic phenomenon that I had, was I was sitting with a friend and there was this tree that I loved, on a path. And I was like, I'm going to go meditate by that tree, inspired action. Just like out of the blue, out of nowhere, we're sitting there. having a great visit. And I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go meditate by that tree. So I listened to that inspired action and I went. So I started walking down the path. And as I started walking down the path, I was getting heart palpitations, like pounding heart palpitations where it just flutter. And the closer I got to that tree, the more it was like, woo, woo, woo. And then all of a sudden, it was like I walked through this veil or this curtain, and I could hear hundreds of children laughing, like playing. And I'm looking around and I'm like, this is in the middle of nowhere. Like there's a creek and a tree. Like, what's happening? And I could hear them. So I just kind of sat and I listened and I let that happiness take over me. And then I opened my eyes and I could see them. So this big, huge willow tree, every branch was like one was a snake, one was an elephant. They were all different things. And the tree was like, had a face. And I was like, what? And then there's all these little spirit children and they're looking at me. And this one little boy comes up and he's like, can you see us? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I've either gone crazy or like what's happening. I wasn't aware of psychic phenomenons at this time. And he's like, you can see us? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can you see Fred? And he points over to like this troll that was like on the shoreline. And I was like, yeah. I was like, what about the fairies? And there's all these ferns covered in fairies. And I'm like, yep. And he's like, we've been waiting for you. What took you so long? And I'm like, I'm here. And he's like, we've been waiting for you. Come with us. Come with us. So all these children like gather around me and they're all happy and they're smiling and they're like, you're gonna tell stories. And I was like, okay. And at this point, I'd written my life book. I had written a book about healing inner child, um, like my whole life story or whatever. And how to navigate those lessons. And I was like, you mean like stories about how to heal the inner child? He's like, no, you're talking to the wrong kids. He's like, you're going to talk to us. You're going to talk to children. You're going to change lives. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, but we have to heal you first. And I was like, all right. So we go up to the tree and I'm just magnetically pulled to this tree. I wrap my arms around this tree. So here I am hugging this tree. And I'm like bawling, hugging this willow tree, like on this trail. And this couple walks by and I'm just like, I'm fine. It's great. They walk by and the kids are like laughing, all these spirit children. And the tree's like, we want to teach you how to transform fear, not release it, transform it. One of my irrational fears, which is a childhood imprint, is very irrational fear of butterflies. Yep. So I go and I sit down with the children and they're like, just trust, it's okay. Close your eyes. So I close my eyes and there is a butterfly the size of that frickin' moon on the tree. And I'm like, and he's like, no, let it go. Trust, embody trust. Close your eyes. And so this went on for a while, and the butterfly would get closer and smaller, closer, smaller, closer, smaller, closer, smaller, until eventually it was on my knee and it was like this big. And I was like, oh, change the way. I was like, that's when I realized that our perception is what is in control for the way we perceive fear and what to do with fear. It's not about releasing fear, because again, focus choice. So if we're like, I release all the fear, I release all the fear, your focus is on the fear, you're going to have more fear. So instead, it's, I trust this process. I embody courage. And that's what I required at that time to arrive to where I am here today. It took me a lot of courage. Um, and then that night, it was a full moon, which is, I just love the moon. And I went home and wrote 12 children's stories on transmuting fear. They're going to come out next year. They're all illustrated and ready to go, but we're just waiting for the right timeline to launch them, which I'm really excited about. So that was the most incredible experience. That was my psychic phenomenon. And that was when everything, I was like running on a treadmill ever since. It was just like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other to arrive at here now. And when I look back, the amount of impatience that I experienced, oh man, I was like, if someone had told me at 44, you're going to be living your highest timeline, and I'm like late 20s, I would have been like, fuck that. Like, I want it now. And I didn't understand the evolutionary process of it. Now, it doesn't matter. Now I've arrived and I'm like, what's next? and I just let it be. I let it unfold. And it's like a very calming, trusting energy. But you will have a psychic phenomenon at some point. It might not be in the middle of public path with spirit children. And if you've had one, I'd love to hear your story. I love reading the love letters before I go to bed at night. So, or first thing in the morning with my coffee. So yeah, I would love to hear your story, or you can put it on the comments and share it with all of us, because I feel really strongly that the more we all share, the more it normalizes this journey. And I did mine alone. I was isolated on my journey. There wasn't anybody in my sphere that understood what was happening or what I was enduring or what I was going through. And there's so many times that I thought I was crazy, or that I was paranoid of being possessed, or like these little fearful things that I didn't understand at the time, right? And I remember even going to my doctor and begging for a psych evaluation, like begging him. I'm like, I've lost my mind. One of my caregivers is very, very, very mentally unstable, and my childhood caregivers. And I didn't want to end up like that person. I didn't want to be cruel. I didn't want to be abusive. I didn't want to be crazy, which is not the right term, obviously. But in that timeline, that's how I perceived it. And I was so afraid of losing my mission and losing my love in the world that I was fearful of ending up very low vibrational. So I remember begging for a psychic evaluation or psych evaluation. And my doctor just laughing at me. I had the best doctor in the world. And he was like, you just have purpose, go with it. Anyways, so yeah, I'd love to hear what you're going through. I'd love to hear your experiences. I will be very present as much as I can be between calls over the next little while. We are going through a lot in this entire month of September. The 14th, 13th, 14th are really, really, really strong days energetically. So you're going to feel a lot leading into that. Today's the 12th. And I just realized I have a call in 3 minutes. Awesome. And the 23rd is going to be pretty heavy. So I want you to just stay grounded and keep telling the story of the evolutionary process, the ascension process you're in, not the disharmony and not the discomfort. Own, own it, own it. Be like, that's right, I'm leveling up. Yeah. All right, I'll jump on, talk more about that next time, as well as the law of rhythm. Um, Shoot your questions. I will write them down and I will address them in a live. I'm going to do a live later this week. All right. I love you. Mwah. Shine bright. Okay. Don't be afraid of your power. Don't be afraid of your light. Remember that you are absolutely needed on this planet. There is people waiting. There are souls waiting for you. So own it and continue to be brave, bold, and raw. Bye.